this morning. It is our great pleasure to host all of you as we proudly induct 10 of men's and women's volleyball in the state of Massachusetts. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Robin Lee. I am one of the co-chairs and the outgoing president emeritus. I am sadly going to say that. I wanted to introduce my wingmen, Coach Tom Turco from Duxbury and Coach Rob Slavin from Duxbury. These wheels have been put in motion since early in 2022, and everything has come together so nicely. So our job is to welcome you and officially open the Hall of Fame induction ceremony 2022. We are going to hand the mic off to our new president, George Molly from Long Meadow.
Thank you, Robin. This is pretty exciting. For those that don't know, I'm the executive director of the International Volleyball Hall of Fame in Holyoke. So I get to do this same thing next week in Holyoke, but instead of introducing Mark Taylor, it will be Kerry Walsh. This is still special, so I'm happy to be here. I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Board of Directors of the MAVCA. Thank you for coming out, spending your morning with us. This is our 8th induction ceremony, and first to specifically include boys coaches. So after today, we will have inducted 70 coaches from throughout Massachusetts over the past 23 years. Before we get started, I would like to recognize and again thank the Hall of Fame committee, Robin, Rob, and Tom. Thank you guys for all that you have done and your efforts for making today happen. I would also like to note that the MAVCA is a volunteer-run statewide organization, so I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to our board of directors and ask them to all please stand, those that are in attendance, to be recognized. Thank you for all that you do. We also have several past Hall of Famers that are in attendance, and I'd like to ask you to please stand as you're called, but this time for the audience, we're going to ask you to hold your applause until everybody is standing. From the class of 2004, we have Jim Rendell and Tom Turco. Class of 2006, Jack Olson and Rob Slavin. Class of 2011, Robin Lee and Tom Henderson. Class of 2014, Sean McDonald and Roger Anderson. And the class of 2017, Michelle Hopkinson and George Mulbray. Thank you all for being here today. I think it shows a lot that even after being inducted, all these Hall of Famers not only come back to support the organization, a lot of them are still coaching, a lot of them are active on the board of directors, and so we truly appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. So you're going to get a chance to meet all of our inductees this morning, but certainly it wouldn't be a welcome unless we recognize them here at the beginning of the program. You'll hear stories and learn a lot more about them shortly, but I'd like to introduce the class of 2022. Ask you to just please stand. We have Steve DeRossi from New Bedford High School. Ernie from Lassey from Dartmouth. From Bourne. Niosi from Quincy. Sisson from DY. From Minnechaug. Thomas from Duxbury. Viselli from St. John's. And Wingate from Westfield. Congratulations to all of our inductees. We're looking forward to learning more about what got you here. So for now, like the story of the turtle on the fence post, we didn't get here by ourselves. There have been many, many people along the way that have helped move this organization forward since its inception. So I'd like to introduce a Hall of Famer and past president of the organization, Mr. Rob Slavin, to talk briefly about how we got here.
Thank you, George. Someone in the lobby this morning took me aside and said, Coach, could you tell me how do I get in the Hall of Fame? And I said the same answer as the one that gets you into Carnegie Hall: practice. I have, first of all, welcome everybody. This is the largest turnout we've ever had for our signature event, the Hall of Fame. Most of you know that volleyball actually has its roots in Massachusetts, 1895. I'm not going to go back there and trace it, but we're very fortunate to have our current executive director, George Mulvey, who, I'm not talking out of school, has saved the Hall of Fame over the past 10 years. And we're very indebted to him for all the work he does, and very honored that he's our president now. If you have a chance, take your team to the Hall of Fame, go visit it. It's an interesting place, and if you don't, for some reason, like the Volleyball Hall of Fame in Holyoke, go get a burger and then go to the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. There are two sports. Volleyball, by the way, is the official sport of Massachusetts, so recognized by our own Charlie Baker. But the history of this for us is this, and I'll talk mostly about the girls' game, because that was how this organization came into being. As a response to Title IX in 1972, girls started picking up the game as they never had before. In this state, in the 70s, it started slowly. We had a small tournament, a pool play tournament, that only guys like Jack Olson remember. It was a small weekend tournament held between a handful of teams, a round robin, almost like a JO tournament. By 1980, a few very brave and pioneering women, Linda Jacqui, Vicki Hill, Joyce Skipp, thought we could do better. And their goal, like the goal of a lot of Title IXers, was to create a level playing field for girls. To that end, their contribution in the 1980s was to get us actively involved with the MIAA, the state governing board. By the mid-80s, we had a growing tournament. We had over 100 teams of girls playing, and we had 2 divisions. We were off and running. These 3 women were responsible for this organization. In the 80s, we never had more than 25 or 30 coaches members, but it was a start. By the end of the 80s, the boys started to get rolling in the sport. I'll let Steve DeRossi address that, our friend from New Bedford, for the early years of the boys. In the 1990s, Sheila Shamber from Archbishop Williams took over as president with her friend Tammy Weber from Milford. This is, by the way, this organization is the ultimate democracy. We've never had an election. The president. So if you ever want to run for president and you'll have no competition, run for the president of the Volleyball Coaches Association. So the history of that is pretty simple. Jacqui passed it off to Shamber, passed it off to Slavin, passed it off to Lee, passed it off to Mulvey. It works for us. But in the 90s, the biggest thing that happened were 2 things. One, the advent of club volleyball. And girls realized to truly level the playing field like soccer and basketball had, they had to compete outside the bounds of the season. Girls don't grow up with volleyball in this part of the world. like they do in Venice Beach in California, or even Northern Lights in Minnesota. So they have to learn the game. Clubs help to develop girls into a mainstream sport. Again, I know I speak to a mixed audience here, both parents, players, and coaches. For many, club is a four-letter word. For others, it helps spawn the growth of this sport. There's no question about it. In the 90s, the sport grew in direct relationship to the centers where clubs were developing. Quincy was one of those areas. Barnstable was another. New Bedford was another. Andover was another. You could trace the growth of high school success right back to where the clubs were growing. Fortunately for us in the 90s, as this was happening, we were able to get actively involved with the MIAA. And that was really important. In 1992, we were able to get a board member from our organization to sit on the MIAA board. That person, Tom Turco, has been at that job since 1992. It is, the importance of his role in this cannot be overstated. Okay, I guess we could throw in 18 state championships and 700 wins. So I'd like personally to acknowledge Tom and have him stand up. As you probably know, the MIAA doesn't listen to everybody. But after about 10 or 12 years, they started to listen to Tom. And that helped to no end our growth in the sport. In 1999, I took over as president, and since I had gotten out of teaching, I wanted to turn it into a business. I figured that was the only way we'd survive. So I created partnerships with bigger organizations beyond ours, such as the ABCA, the American Volleyball Coaches Association, USA Volleyball, Reebok, the International Volleyball Hall of Fame. These organizations legitimized us and helped us to grow. People that go back a few years remember our 5-year relationship with Reebok was just spectacular. It was a transformative kind of thing. It held at their headquarters. We knew it would end, but the 5 years we had it was great. We also started up some new ventures to get us into the 21st century. We established the Hall of Fame. We established a larger all-state presence. In the old days, the all-state team used to be a handful of coaches meeting with Bob Holmes at the Boston Globe. We thought we could do better. We established this event, all right? And now we had, instead of just 100 teams, we had over 200 girls teams playing in the early 21st century and over 100 boys teams. Our clinics grew in direct proportion to our coaching interest. We started to get coaches from around the United States. Big-time Division I coaches, Mary Wise, Brian Gimellaro, Vaughn Chemansky. Our membership grew from 32 in 1998 to 156 in 2003. In that year, I did one of the smartest things that I've done here. I expanded our presence for a Hall of Fame. Robin Lee took over as the chairperson of the Hall of Fame, and she is singularly responsible for the growth of what we have today. So I ask Robin to stand up and be acknowledged. Robin recently her years as president, Robin helped to continue to grow this. She had the very difficult task of navigating the COVID years, which we did with Zoom meetings, even when we couldn't play the games. She developed an all-state game, which is annually played in Westfield, and is a great addition to our all-state teams. We grew from 2 divisions to 3 in 2003. The rules changed from National Association of Girls and Women in Sport to NCAA. We held on to that till we finally lost the battle to Federation, but we held on to NCAA rules for as long as we could. Robin recently joined the organization over to George Mulvey, who has already introduced himself, and now in the 5th decade of existence as a Title IX sport, girls volleyball is now the #1 female high school participation sport in the United States, with over 500,000. Yes, ahead of basketball, yes, ahead of soccer. 519,000 girls at last count. The boys have now expanded, and over almost 70,000 boys play in the United States. We now have over 300 teams in Massachusetts playing girls volleyball and 150 with the boys. So the sport, the future looks bright. So I thank everyone for coming out and helping us to grow the sport, whether you're a player, a coach, or a parent. And I'm happily now turn it over to George. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I think it's important that we hear about where we came from, because volleyball in general doesn't do a great job telling our stories. So I appreciate you giving us that historical perspective. I'd like to call Robin to the podium because I know that she loves surprises. She's always telling me that. We have an award for Robin. The MAVCA gratefully presents a Lifetime Achievement Award to Robin Lee for contributions to the sport of high school volleyball, most notably to this organization as its past president from 2011 to 2021, and as the Hall of Fame committee chairperson from 2003 to the present. Come on.
That knows me knows I'm never at a loss for words. I got the 1 minute, I'm good. Good thing I'm trickling over into the other Lifetime Achievement Awards. I am honestly completely speechless. I don't even know what to say, except that my existence in this organization would be nothing without everybody in this room. Yeah, Roy has been with me doing photos at Milton High for over 30 years. There are no words. My mom and dad, who are not here, who supported me in my early years of coaching by babysitting the kids. And I just look around the room at my older friends, Coach Olson, Turco, Slavin, Rendell, Richard Barton, who's not here, Fabe, who's not here, but these men that made women feel important in this sport, because I feel like for too long it was like the old boys club. And Coach Thomas and I, she probably doesn't remember this, but we had this conversation years ago about trying to fit in and wanting to stand out as women who coach women's sports. So I just thank you. There are no words. Coach Slavin, I owe you. George, thank you. And there's a story behind that, but we'll save it. While I'm here, before we get underway with honoring these 10 fabulous coaches in front of us today, the MABCA and the Hall of Fame Committee wanted to take some time to recognize 2 people for their outstanding achievements and contributions both to this organization and to the sport of volleyball in Massachusetts. The first honoree is no stranger to the MABCA. For years, she has supported our organization from afar and has made several appearances in person to better our coaches' clinics and this organization in general. On a personal note, she has become much more than a mentor and someone we can all rely on when anything volleyball is needed in our state. She has become a friend to most of us, and most of all of you in this room, and especially to me and my family on a very personal level. Kathy DeBoer can be summed up in one word: phenom. And if any of you attend the ABCA Coaches Convention, you understand the word phenom, but she truly is the epitome of that word. I have never met nor been in the company of any woman who empowers women to be the very best that they can be, more than Kathy. She is by far the best advocate for women's volleyball and for men's volleyball across this great country of ours that anyone will ever meet. If you need something done, she's on it. If you want something, it's just a call away. But mostly, she is selfless in what she stands for in terms of making our sport the very best it can be. She is a traveling book of knowledge. She is smart. She's very witty, and someone I strive to be both in my career as a coach and as a woman. So it's with great pleasure to present Kathy with this Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of the Hall of Fame and the MABCA. And she could not be with us today, but was both humbled and appreciative of this award. And she will receive it next weekend at the International Hall of Fame induction ceremony taking place in Holyoke. So, you're all probably wondering who the next honoree is. He is no stranger to the sport of volleyball in Massachusetts. He is like Father Time in the volleyball world, being one of the very first to create a safe, caring, and fabulous learning environment for women from all over the South Shore by way of club volleyball. His passion for the sport has paved the way for many of us in this very room. He is a mentor, a friend, a jokester, and so much more. His love of the game and the path that has led him here is a long one, full of undefeated seasons, league titles, state championships, rivalries, and yes, some disappointments, but definitely many rebounds. It is what makes him one of the most knowledgeable and unique individuals I have ever met. He is a 2004 inductee to our Hall of Fame and my very good friend, Jim Rendell. I did time this at home, so I'm at 4 minutes and 20 seconds with all of this, not counting my award. Jim gave me my start in this crazy world we call coaching for the love of the game. He showed me the ropes, took me under his wing, like he has with so many, and he has helped to shape me into the coach I am today. I think back to the early days when I was young and naive and thinking I had the answers to it all. As I sat and wrote this last night, it gave me the opportunity to reflect upon our long conversations, the laughs we have had, and the stories he would tell, one of my favorite being the one where he was the odd high school boy, and by odd I mean tall and awkward, and how the coach didn't think there was a place for him on a basketball team or on the football field, so he grabbed a jump rope, and he jumped, and he jumped, and he jumped like Forrest, who ran and ran and ran. And he jumped until he could jump no more, and he would prove himself and find his way onto the field, onto the court. He has told this story countless times to countless girls at his infamous I Dig It camp, year after year, which I am so proud and humbled to have been a part of until it closed down during COVID. And all I could think is, here we go again, the jump rope story. But the girls laughed. They were encouraged, and you could see this every time he put a jump rope into their hands. Then there's the old, this is not a punishment, it's an opportunity to improve yourselves physically. I still use this line today with my players. On a personal note, Jim has been far more than a mentor to me. He has been like a dad. Not that he needs any more children to take care of. Lord knows he and Linda have their hands full, quite full. My dad passed in 2009, and it broke me. And at that time, and still today, I am just so grateful to have had Jim in my life to help guide me and talk to. I would tell Holly and Heather on the first day of IDETA camp, summer after summer, how lucky they were to have their dad, this fine human being in their lives and in the lives of their children. We all had quite the scare this past summer when Jim took ill, but in Rendell form, he beat the odds and is stronger than ever. So it is with great joy and all the love in my heart that I present this Lifetime Achievement Award to Jim Rendell on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the MABCA.
Summer I had a real scare. I have aortic aneurysm at birth, and the percentage of surviving it is less than 1%. So about a month after I had the surgery, I went to my primary care physician, and I walked in, and the first thing the girl does is wait, and she says, "Oh wow, you lost 20 pounds." I said, "Well, yeah, I had my aortic aneurysm." And she said, "Oh, you're the guy that survived it." Oh, so I was like a celebrity. She's introduced me to the whole staff. This is the guy that survived that aneurysm. This is guy. So I walked in the primary care physician I hadn't seen, and he sat down. He says, "You know, you have no business being here." He said, "You were on the brink of death for 2 hours." He said, "I don't know how you survived it." And I called him, coaching. Coaching did it. On the med flight into the hospital, I had a great med flight doctor that coached me through it. Wouldn't let me go to sleep. I had no medication. I was begging for medication. "No, you can't." At one point, I almost lost it. He slapped at me. He said, talk to me. We're almost there. We're almost there. So I finally got to the emergency room. Not the emergency room. They put me right into the OR. They didn't even prep the OR because, so they got me in, and the doctor says, "Okay, we're there." I said, "Just give me some pain medication." "We can't." They had to keep my blood pressure low because I was bleeding out. They gave me 13 units of blood. You only carry 9 in your body, so I bled out 1.5 times. He says, "You can't. I can't give you any pain medication." So I was at wit's end. I didn't know what to do. So I went to volleyball practice. And, excuse me, I started yelling at myself the way I used to yell at the girls during our tournament practice. We had a tournament practice every year at the end of the season. You couldn't do it today because it was pretty, I guess, you just couldn't do it today. 25-minute sessions without a volleyball. 2 minutes in between each session and nothing but solid running and solid getting them tough. And what I would tell them during that session is, I know your lungs are hurting, but fight through it. I know your legs are burning, but fight through it. I know it hurts, but we can't give up now. This is the 4th game. This is the 5th game. You're in the state finals, 5th game. You can't give up. You've got to keep going. And that's what I was yelling at the girls. So that's what I was yelling at myself. And then they had to cut me a couple of times to put the camera up the groin and I still have no medication. So I'm feeling the pain, and I'm in tremendous pain. And I finally just vowed to the girls that you never quit on me, I won't quit on you. So for 2 hours, without that pain, it was all coaching. So you talk about life lessons and coaching. That's the importance of the job that you have, and talk about life lessons. I wouldn't be here without coaching. And I know how many of you are instilling this into your athletes and instilling that into your players. And I'm just telling you, you know, you all know it, but I'm reassured it makes a huge difference. And I'm only here because of coaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and you can all see why he was such a magnificent mentor. I'm going to just pass the mic on back to George.
Oh, Noah, you get to follow that up in a second. We're at the portion of our morning where we're going to start introducing our inductees. We do have a camera going in the back so we can break this video down later and see where we did well and what we might have to improve on. I think we're off to a pretty good start right now. Our first inductee this morning is Coach Steve DeRossi, former coach of New Bedford boys volleyball, and he'll be introduced by his grandson, Noah DeRossi.
Thank you very much. So I'm very proud and honored to be able to introduce my grandfather, Stephen DeRossi. You know, I didn't have the opportunity to play with my grandfather. I think there was like a little bit of a timing difference. But nevertheless, I do feel like I know exactly the type of care and consideration that all of his players receive. You know, my grandfather would take me to the bus stop every single morning. And when I got out of the car, going onto the bus, he'd say, "Remember, Noah, focus power, focus power." To this day, he still says that to me every time I see him. It's that level of commitment to my success that I know he showed every single one of his players. Because Coach DeRossi knows that in order to have a winning team, your team needs to know they can win. And that's what he made sure of. He facilitated the growth athletically, personally, of every single one of his players to make sure that they knew in their own hearts that they could win. I am so proud and honored to be able to introduce my grandfather. I know no one else that deserves this award more. Thank you.
Let me say first thank you to the members of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, to the players, parents, New Bedford High volleyball fans that have been an important part of my life, and quite frankly are the reason why I am here today. It's difficult enough when your husband is a junior high school teacher. But when he becomes an assistant principal, and then he becomes a principal, and he still keeps his coaching job, you know she's not going to see much of him. I have to be honest, my path to this day is probably not typical. I never ever wanted to be a coach. I never played volleyball. I do have a quick story though. By chance, the year that my son was graduating from high school, or going into high school, I said, he was looking for something different, you know, a change of pace. I wasn't sure what that meant, you know, the situation, but by chance, it just so happened boys volleyball was going to get started that year. And by chance, I met the athletic director one day from New Bedford High School, and we got into a conversation, and he said, "Hey, did you know we're starting a volleyball program?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And just out of curiosity, I said, "Who's the coach?" And he looked at me and he said, "Why, we don't have one. Are you interested?" Now I want you to understand, I had never coached volleyball, I had never played volleyball, but strictly out of curiosity, when he asked that question and he said, "Why are you interested?" I said, okay. But here's the kicker. I was the only candidate. So it didn't make much difference what I was going to say. I was the only candidate. As it turned out, I quickly learned what I needed to do. You need to understand pre-internet. Once he told me that, I went to the local library, got the only 2 books on volleyball that they had. I went through them very quickly, and lo and behold, here I am. Many of us know how that volleyball bug, once it gets you, it's very contagious. I'm looking at some faces here and they're nodding heads. And once it grabs you, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I do want to say, I'm very proud to be here with my family. They are an extremely important part of why I'm here, because me, as a volleyball coach, meant they were stuck with someone in the family who was a volleyball coach, which meant they weren't going to see as much of me. I'm thankful to all of those that I met along the way, foe, friend, whomever, but everyone who stands here today knows in their heart that they would not be here if it weren't for most of those people who are sitting there. And to all of you and my family, I say thank you.
Our next inductee is Ernie Holcomb from Falmouth, being introduced by Derek Saffron.
Good morning, everyone. Standing in this room in front of so many distinguished coaches is a great honor. I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you on your accomplishments and your sacrifices. The gentleman I'm here to introduce over the past several weeks has probably said, how did I get to this point? Is this for real? Ernie Holcomb called me on the phone the day he got this letter in the mail. Our conversation was long, but I will share some of it. He said, guess what? A thought went through my head, you must be asking me to coach again. No, I was wrong. He said, I don't know how, but I made it into the Hall of Fame. I said, congratulations, and then had a funny thought. He must be talking about his wife Joanne getting a teaching award. As a side note, I must give her some credit here, because my English teacher, she's the reason I was able to write this speech and get up and front. Then I continued to respond with, that's awesome. You deserve it, Coach. Every day as a teacher and a coach, you help to mold the children for the future. At times you might have wavered, but you've always persevered. It has always been my pleasure to watch you, Coach. You've always had a competitive team and never let them quit. No one will ever truly know how much you've done for the children and the teenagers over the years, but I know you truly deserve this honor. I recently spoke with a former player and coach, Amira Trentham. She said, he introduced me to the sport where I have met most of my closest friends. He has always believed in me and made me feel comfortable in my own skin. When I had 40 freshmen and no coach, who shows up and pushes me out of the way? Coach Holcomb, saying he wanted to help me in the program. That is who Coach Holcomb is. In Falmouth, there is a saying, it's Clipper pride. As a coach, teacher, father, and grandfather, you embody that saying. Everyone around you has been lucky to share in your journey. I couldn't be happier for you.
I still don't know how I got here, but I do know that I brought my prop, and
my second time around, my second run, I was freshman coach for 1 year, and then JV coach, was pregnant, had a baby, and Amira went to finish her education. And here I was back with this group. And I've done some unique things over the years, and I decided I'm going to read this book to the varsity, and I'm going to have them read it to the JV kids and to the freshman kids. And I did that until COVID came along. COVID scared Dr. Seuss away. But, there are a ton of people that I have to thank. Obviously, everyone from the selection committee, Tom Turco, who did amazing things and such a good person that, obviously, you know, on the jail and those different things. Dave Moore from Bourne was fortunate enough to coach against. All these people, and Rachel and Pam and Drew were all people that got me to the places that I was going to go and get the girls there. And I cannot believe that I'm lucky enough to see Jim Rendell again from the, I guess it was Holcomb Conference or whatever it was way back then, or Jack Wilson, all amazing people. I need to thank my family, my players. I have coached more sports than you probably could think about. Everything from girls soccer to girls volleyball. Basketball coach, knew nothing. Learn fast. The Rendells and those people taught me things, and my greatest ones, I think, were losses against coaches that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and meeting Andrew recently from Nantucket, and having my new friend that's taking my place, Nikki Shea, who came along last year to coach with me. Got Marjorie LaCroix over there, who played and coached with me. Amy Bruce, who was a coach with me, who did some softball with her, so it was a change. And then Denise Dorado, who coached. And my daughters who played in the program, and all the Katrina Cardozo, who's over there, all the groups of sisters I had. It just was an amazing event. I thank Kathleen Burke, David Watson, Paul Lumberg, who I coached basketball with. David Watson, a non-volleyball guy like I was. 4 years JV, won more games than I did. And my wife Joanne, who, as Derek said, is the most amazing teacher I've ever met. Just want to thank you all. I'm totally amazed that this happened to me, and I'm thrilled. Thank you, and keep up the good work, all you coaches are doing. And ladies, you're the best. I was raised by my mom, and that's a big thing for me, so thank you.
All right, our next inductee is Rachel Lassey from Dartmouth, being introduced by Jessica Lassey.
Introducing the next inductee would have just been a great pleasure. However, she's not just my head coach, she's my little sister. So it is my honor to tell you a little bit about her. When it comes to volleyball, no one can compete with the passion and dedication that Rachel brings to the table. When she was very young, she made a poster for her bedroom wall. It was written in her terrible handwriting, but it said that she would someday become the best physical education teacher and volleyball coach she could be. And there's not been one day in Rachel's career that she has not pushed herself to be just that. But Rachel's not being inducted today because she has the best win record in Massachusetts. While her teams have been successful, what she has done for volleyball is much more than that. Rachel has put Dartmouth volleyball on the map. DVB has become one of the most competitive programs in the area, and while that gives Rachel great pride, it is not her crown jewel. My sister does not believe that volleyball is simply a sport, but a vehicle for unlocking your true self and potential. She herself came out of her shell on the volleyball court. Her hope is always for a successful season, but more importantly, the growth of her players as human beings. She has always put the person before the game. As a result, her program attracts some of the most amazing women. Many of these ladies didn't even realize how wonderful they were until Rachel finds a way to help them shine. She always tells them that she wants them to leave as strong, confident, intelligent, caring, and kind humans. That is more of her goal than anything else. She does this in her teaching as well as coaching career, pushing her students at the middle school level and starting an after-school program there as well. Because of her, Dartmouth's tryouts have grown with huge interest overflowing from the middle school. They want to be a part of the volleyball program because she has inspired them or changed them in some way. Look around the room, Rachel. You are surrounded by family, friends, colleagues, as well as former players turned family. All of us are here because in some way, shape, or form, you make us better. Better teachers, coaches, players, or simply just better people. Let us be a mirror where you see all the good you have given us reflected back at you. As her assistant coach and older sister, it's my honor to introduce you to Rachel Lassey.
Said I wasn't going to cry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the committee for this amazing honor. When Robin Lee first called me to tell me that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was shocked, and my awkward response was, "For what?" After getting off the phone, I thought to myself, is this for real? We haven't won anything big yet. Upon some reflection, here's what I know. I'm a Dartmouth girl, born and raised. I grew up playing Dartmouth athletics. I took a lot of pride in that. But my teaching and coaching career actually started next door in New Bedford Public Schools. This is where I had the privilege to learn as much as I possibly could from veteran coach Niosi. In my 3 years as a volunteer coach there, we won a state championship. Sorry, Turco. And being a part of a winning culture was something new and very exciting for me. Once you get a taste of that, you just stay hungry. So when I was asked if I was going to take on the position of being head coach of Dartmouth High School, I very proudly and somewhat rudely said, I bleed red now. After a very encouraging conversation with my then athletic director, Michael Correa, I applied for the job. And 12 years later, here I am, 1000% bleeding green. I truly believe that getting this job is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I really think that Dartmouth High School volleyball is my purpose in life. So conveniently, my sister was transitioning from teaching in New Bedford Public Schools to Dartmouth High. Ooh. So it took her some convincing to take on 2 new jobs in 1 year, but she jumped on board. And she's been right by my side ever since. The memories that we get to create and the time spent together is irreplaceable. She is irreplaceable. I can proudly say that my sister and I, with assistance from Coach Lindsay Perry and now Coach Catherine Manise, that we have changed the culture of Dartmouth High volleyball. We win more than we lose, and we teach our girls to be passionate about the game as well as each other. I like to think of it as women empowering young women. We hope that we instill our girls with lifelong lessons as well as the confidence to go out into the world and conquer anything that they set their mind to. And hopefully someday they come back home and tell us all about it. My parents, Keith and Deborah Lassey, have been our biggest fans from day one. They are at every home game or away. My father, Keith Lassey, is the guy that's occasionally yelling from the stands, who I proudly sound just like. We are actually sometimes yelling the same thing at the same time. My mother, Deborah, is the only reason why I eat dinner during season. Heck, she's actually the only reason why I eat dinner year-round. My family, the people that I love most in the world, are right by my side while I do the thing that I love most in the world. What could be better than that? Volleyball has given me endless gifts, a best friend for life, former players that become friends, that occasionally come back and help coach, which fills me with so much pride, fellow colleagues and coaches that become my part-time therapists during the season and have given me some of the best advice. My support is outstanding. So, going back to the beginning, when I said we haven't won anything big yet, I was wrong. The relationships that I have built and the memories that I get to keep, that is my big win. Those people right there and everyone that has supported me along the way, that is my Hall of Fame. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Go Indians.
Inductee this afternoon is Dave Moore from Bourne, being introduced by Cassie Lee.
It is an honor today to introduce my childhood coach, high school coach, and my dad. I struggle to find the right words to use today, as I'm sure he could write a book of his journey. My love for the game is because of my dad, and the never quit attitude and drive was instilled as a young girl. The dedication that he has to volleyball and everything he does is inspiring. He started coaching at Bourne High School in 1989 and retired in 2003. Although we had our struggles as any parent, coach, and child, I had the pleasure of playing for him for 4 years with many accomplishments. About 3 years ago, he told me he had applied for the head coaching job again at Bourne, and he had asked me to be his assistant, as he told them we were a package deal. I was unsure I could make it work as a mother of 4, but saying yes has been the best coaching experience thus far. When starting out our short 6-week season of Fall 2, I had told him he had gotten soft in his coaching ways, and I received the best response. He said our job is to help these players develop lifelong skills on and off the court. I just have to find the right balance. From that day forward, he did slowly get tougher, but he continues to be available for his coaches and players. I couldn't think of anyone else I would want to be an assistant to, and I continue to learn every day. Dad, thank you for teaching me the game, being my biggest cheerleader, and being one of the best coaches around on and off the court. It is with honor that I introduce to you my head coach and dad, Stephen Moore.
I thought it was going to be all right till then. Well, I'm a reader, so I'll do my best. Thank you. It certainly is an honor to be an inductee into the Massachusetts Volleyball Association Hall of Fame. I say that because after I looked over the list of previous Hall of Fame inductees, full of coaches I'm familiar with, who I've coached against, who have influenced me, and played a huge part in the development and growth of volleyball in Massachusetts. Thank you for permitting me to enter this prestigious group. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee members, Robin Lee, Tom Turco, Rob Slavin, who were gracious in selecting me and the other inductees to make this day special for each of us. How fortunate are we? I'm also delighted to be on the board of MAPCO, working with a handful of coaches across the state who are committed to the education of coaches so we can be better servant leaders and teachers for our players. I also thank the staff of Bourne High School, Principal Amy Setner, and Athletic Director Scott Ashworth for allowing me to coach again at Bourne. I want to acknowledge some of my family who are here today. Of course, Cassie, who introduced to me. Alexander's here, Teague, my brother-in-law Aaron, and his wife Rhonda. Thanks for wanting to come. My wife and best friend Karen had committed to helping a friend in Florida previous to knowing about the ceremony, and she regrets not being here. I wish she was here too. I have coaching friends who have helped me and been influential in my development as a coach. Tom Turco, Rob Slavin, Jack Hastings, Jack Olson, Tim Acton, my daughter Cassie, and my wife Karen. The late Anne-Marie Souza and the late Jim Moore. Where would I be without their help and patience? They are the ones who gave advice and support when needed, and sometimes unsolicited feedback because they cared enough. Thank you. I'd also be remiss to stand here today and not thank God for the opportunities and support I receive from him on a daily basis. My faith in him has sustained me in my quest to be the best version of myself. I'm competitive. I love to win, and that will never change. But what has changed is that's no longer my why. Today, my why is I want to be a positive influence in the lives of my players. I want them to know that I care about them, not just on the court, but off the court. I want them to learn life lessons through their participation, helping them understand empathy, selflessness, sacrifice, being a good teammate, accountability, and having a good work ethic. Those are just a few of the things that I believe in focusing on when I'm coaching. Do I always do a good job? No, I don't. And you coaches know all too well, coaching can be messy. It's full of emotion, stress, highs and lows. I often screw up, but I try to make it right. I apologize. I work harder at being transparent. I even try to laugh more, which is hard when you have almost no sense of humor. But my wife is just the opposite. She laughs at everything. Ridiculous stuff. So she's constantly reminding me, just laugh, lighten up. So that helps a lot. I didn't think I'd need the 8 minutes. Cassie took the time that I appreciate her saying a lot. In closing, though, I'd love to share this quote from Joe Ehrman in his book, Inside Out Coaching, which says, competition isn't about winning or perfection. It entails being the best you are capable of becoming based on your unique gifts and abilities. We compete with each other to achieve excellence, but the person you become in pursuit of excellence is worth far more than the apparent achievement of excellence. Thank you.
Our next inductee is actually the third inductee from Quincy High School. That is Jacqui Niosi being introduced by Mary Beth Torby.
Congratulations to all of the inductees here today. As you can all see, there are plenty of accolades between wins, league titles, and tournament runs that show how deserving Jacqui is of this honor. She's never been one to talk about stats, rankings, or league titles, so I'd like to share with you some things that you'll never find on a stat sheet. Jacqui shows her players that coaching volleyball is a true passion. She dedicates 100% to her teams each and every season. I've coached with Jacqui for about 10 years now, and in doing so I've learned more each year. Her understanding of the game and strategy is at the highest level. She's a coach that isn't afraid to take risks, whether that's a lineup change or pulling off the block in a state tournament game. She goes with what's best for her team in each and every moment. What I've learned most in coaching with Jacqui, and have always admired, is the way she coaches so much more than just volleyball. She's dedicated to her players and guides them in ways that volleyball mirrors life. There are highs and lows, things we can control and things we can't. Most importantly, try your hardest, believe in yourself, and trust your teammates. These are the lessons that our players take with them far beyond their days of playing volleyball. As a former player myself, I can say firsthand that Jacqui inspires her players to the best volleyball players they can be, and more importantly, good people. Congratulations, Coach Niosi. Not a tall volleyball person. Thank you. Congratulations to everyone here today. I love playing volleyball, but I really love coaching. To me, every year is like getting a different puzzle, and there's all different sizes, and I see it as my job to figure out how those pieces all fit together to make our team be the best that they can be, as people and as volleyball players. I love that from Quincy, they're like my height or maybe a little taller, and when every time we walk in the gym, we're kind of an underdog, but we just play defense and dare people to hit the ball at us. And my favorite part is seeing a kid come in as a freshman, not with a lot of confidence, and watching them grow and develop into this confident person. I'd like to thank my relatives who are here today for all the games they've come through, all the advice and life lessons they've given me. I specifically remember them all chanting Stella in the stands at our tournament run in 2009. We had a player named Stella, and they loved the name, and they just kept shouting Stella the whole game. I'd like to thank my mom for all the car rides. When I played club, we did not have GPS. So we would print out the directions, and we got lost every single time. But she taught me how to be a good person and how to care about other people and how to help others whenever you can. I'd like to thank both my sisters that are here today, especially DJ, who had to put up with me as a coach and as a sister. I think I'm delightful, but I'm sure that was challenging at times for her. Also, my part-time coach and nephew, Lucas, who's here today. He's got a very busy schedule, so he's not always there, but he loves coming to practice and coming to games, and the players love having him there too. I'd also like to recognize my dad, who's not with us anymore, but I think I got a lot of my love for coaching from him. He hated coming to the games because he didn't like sitting in the bleachers and listening to people's thoughts on how things were going. So I'm sure he likes the view much better now, where he can watch. I'd also like to thank my volleyball family. Chris Prendeville, who basically forced me to play volleyball in middle school. Later in life, she forced me to coach. And handed over the Mass Paths program a couple of years ago. So thank you for helping me find something I'm so passionate about. Also Tom Henderson, who was one of the best volleyball coaches. I learned so much from him about playing and then about how to coach. One of the things I loved most about him was that he would take you aside and he wouldn't just tell you to do something, he would tell you why you had to do that so that you could really understand the game. And that's something that I try to do with my players. He could also hit 1,000,000 balls 90 miles an hour for a very long time. Also Jim Rendell, I didn't have the pleasure of going through a tournament practice with him, but I went through plenty of club practices with him and learned a lot about the game. I learned a lot about coaching from him. I learned how to play blackjack from him. And I think I can, when I got a phone call that he was being flighted into the hospital a few months ago, I know you said it was only 1% chance of survival, but my first instinct was there's no way this is how he goes out. Thank you for everything you taught me.
I'd also like to thank my current coaching staff. Jacqui and Julie aren't here today, but Mary Beth and Trisha are. Trisha's been coaching for 13 years with me, and Mary Beth for 10, which is, I feel so incredibly lucky to have these people that come back every year. I think we make a really good team. They really care about our kids, and it's just, we've become, you know, this is our chosen family. And they've done so much for me on the court and also just as a person in my personal life. So thank you very much. Also all the players, I feel like I learn something every day. And I've learned so much about myself from coaching, become so much more confident from just doing something that I love so much. Last night I was talking to a couple parents of the Wanikas, and their daughter is dealing with a brain tumor right now. And we had a fundraiser game the other day, which thank you to Caitlin and Megan and Gina for everything we did in our big Quincy, North Quincy rivalry. But, you know, there are things that are bigger than volleyball, and we came together to help support that. And Priscilla's dad was saying to me how she was a great basketball and softball player, but she really loved playing volleyball. And that just made me think, like, one of the last things she probably did and participated in where she felt 100% herself was play volleyball. Because she started to have symptoms after our season and was diagnosed. And to know that, like, we helped give her an experience that was really great and something that is hopefully helping her fight right now is just so important. So you just never know every day you show up what you're doing and how that's going to affect someone else's life. So thank you very much.
What you don't know about Coach Niosi is not only is she a fabulous coach, but she's also a fabulous baker. So this fabulous cake that's going around, she actually brought in the 25th hour. I wanted to pick it up from her last night, but she walked it in here herself at 9:50 this morning, so thank you, Jacqui.
All right, our next inductee is Drew Sisson from Dennis-Yarmouth, being introduced by Bill McShane.
It's an honor to be here among so many of my personal and professional friends to introduce Coach Drew Sisson on her induction into our Hall of Fame. I'm a weather junkie. I like seeing the big picture of the 10-day forecast. I don't care for someone reading me temperatures and wind speeds. You can read Coach Sisson's records, statistics, and superlatives and see the big picture. One of our Dennis-Yarmouth traditions involves the fastest point in volleyball. The block. We hand out blocks after a match. I went shopping in a toy store in Orleans and asked the clerk for toy wooden blocks. She asked, "How old is the child?" I said, 16 or 17. Do you know C.S. Forrester? He's the author of The African Queen and the Horatio Hornblower series. Forrester emphasizes the esteem associated with the promotion of your junior officers. Coach Sisson has trained all state athletes, college athletes, and Dolphin alumni are now in our coaching ranks, all trained by Drew. A standard of measure I found over the years involves a relationship with our extended family. Drew's extended family is a testament to her dedication to our sport. I have no doubt all of her extended family is here, in person or in spirit, to share in her induction. Ladies and gentlemen, coaches, my head coach, Drew Sisson.
Thank you, Bill, for that amazing introduction. I'd like to especially thank you for being my right-hand man for the past 18 years and for taking that chance on a 20-year-old girl who didn't know really what she was getting herself into. I'd also like to thank the Dennis-Yarmouth School District for the opportunity year after year to be a part of this wonderful system. To our Superintendent Carol Woodbury, Principal Dr. Paul Funk, and our Athletic Director Mary O'Connor, I'm extremely grateful for your support here today and throughout each season. Thank you to the Massachusetts Volleyball Coaching Association for hosting this ceremony, and to the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this great honor. And to my friends and family, your support has gotten me where I am today. I am so appreciative of you cheering me on from the sidelines, and especially understanding the answer, "I'm sorry, I can't make it, I have volleyball," to almost every invite to things. I started playing volleyball for a small Catholic school in Rochester, New Hampshire, when I was 9. With a mother who was 5'11" and a father who was 6'2", the expectations were literally quite high for me. Not necessarily for my skills, but as we all know, you just can't teach height. I may not have grown another inch since I was 9, but my very first 2 coaches who passed on their love of the game to me, Jim Manning and John Coyle, truly showed me what it was like to be the type of coach you will remember forever. The life lessons they taught me are ones I still carry with me today. I still call them for advice, and to keep them updated on the successful or the not so successful seasons for my teams. They both still continue to travel hours away from home to watch my games and to watch ceremonies like this. They are who I strive to be in life, and as someone once said, a good coach improves your game, but a great coach improves your life. When I moved to Cape Cod, I was fortunate enough to find 2 volleyball homes. One is at DY, but the other has been working alongside Tom Turco with Cape Cod Juniors for almost 15 seasons. I'm grateful for Tom for his words of wisdom through the years. I feel fortunate enough to have such a great mentor and, of course, a fiercely competitor just a town away. As much as I don't like to admit it, I'm starting to get to the age where former players are taking on their own programs, playing in adult tournaments every weekend, or they are getting their own children involved in volleyball, which I have yet to have a second-generation player, but Bill says it's easier to handle than when the 3rd generation walks through the doors, right, Bill? Seeing the impact on players, present and past, is what this game means to me. Every place I've traveled to, every new area I have moved to, volleyball has always been the one thing that is the same everywhere. The volleyball community is unlike any other. And looking around at these other coaches being inducted today, and joining the elite coaches inducted before us, I am in awe. I have looked up to so many of you throughout my career, and I'm still in shock to be receiving this honor. I am truly overwhelmed with gratitude today. I want to leave you with a quote from my cousin George, one that he said to me when he helped me open my business, that I feel applies here in the coaching world. Personal success is almost always achieved throughout helping others succeed and feeling like the best version of themselves. Thank you.
Next up is Mark Taylor from Minnechaug High School, and I think I'm going to take this one on. I love meeting this guy. It doesn't happen as often as I would like, but we've had 9 5-set matches since Mark took over as head coach in 2011. I think one of the most memorable was in 2013. It was actually the sectional semifinal, and my ragtag crew returned one starter from our previous state runner-up season, and we barely knew how to rotate. Mark, on the other hand, had two All-State players, a setter Alex Weiss outside Pauline Modesto, who lit us up for 32 kills that night. So we had to prepare with a level of detail never seen before. And Mark is a creature of habit, and this time it really worked to our benefit. So not only did we scout the team, but I needed 100% buy-in from the players. And so I took it a step further. And after we talked about what we're going to do on offense and defense, I said, we're going to walk into the gym, and Coach Taylor's going to be standing there. He's going to be wearing a mint-green button-down shirt. He's going to have a tie on. There's going to be clocks on that tie. And then he's going to get in his huddle, and he's going to get his girls up, and he's going to point to that tie with the clocks on. He's going to say, this is our time. And sure as shit, as we walk into Minnechaug, the first person that greets us at the door is Mark Taylor in a mint-green button-down shirt, clock tie on, and my girls all just stop, don't even walk through the door, turn and look at me and just mouth. And I knew we at least had a chance. And it ended up working out, and it was just one of the really cool moments. I think Minnechaug has been one of our longest league and division rivals, and that's because of Mark Taylor. Learning velocity is a big thing that we talk about as coaches, where we take a team from good to great and how fast can we get there. And Coach Taylor always gets the most out of his players, regardless of where they start. They always end up where they need to be at the end of the season. And though we may be rivals on the sideline, there have been many times that he and I have driven in the same car together, carpooled out to the MGVCA clinics, and really just put that aside, because Mark's genuinely a good guy that truly cares for his players, and I know that they instantly see that. And I know that because one of the biggest compliments that coaches can receive is when former players get into coaching. And Coach Taylor has received many of those compliments by former players becoming coaches and joining his staff over the years. So Western Mass and volleyball statewide is lucky to have you, and congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
First thing I was going to say before that introduction was that I was probably the only inductee who may be heckled by my own guests who are here, but after what George just said, I don't know. It will get worse than that. That tie has not come out recently, no. It hasn't. This is nerve-wracking, and I was going to start by saying that my brother-in-law had mentioned to me about the time that he had spoken, and at the end of his time at the mic, another woman approached him and said, "Do you speak in public settings often?" And she said, or he said, "Yes, thank you." And she said, "Well, you really shouldn't do it." To be honest with you, I know there's no one waiting out there for me right now, and they're probably lining up as I speak here. So I appreciate the kind words from George Mulry that he came at me with today. I've coached against George for many years, and for many of those at the beginning of my varsity coaching career at Minnechaug, I couldn't get past his squad. So his kind words are greatly appreciated and mean a lot to me. I have to begin by saying thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for considering me, and to the person who was responsible for my nomination. I know it wasn't my mom, so I'm really reaching to figure out who it was. Please just let me know after the ceremony who I should write the check to. I do want to thank my friends from college, my family members that have made this trip, and especially my coaching staff as well. They came out to support me today, and it feels wonderful. I need to thank them as I'm truly touched. It's moments like these that really make me realize how privileged I am to have these people in my life. When I think back, I think about coaching, I can't help but think about the teaching side. I started teaching in '97, and I was given an opportunity to start coaching in '01 at Minnechaug Regional High School, just as a volunteer. I was a lacrosse player in college, but fortunately was introduced to volleyball through a workplace, and I played club for many years myself. Through the years, I've learned that coaching isn't just about teaching, but it's also about forming relationships. These relationships don't always necessarily last forever, but are important in people's lives at that time. I think important bonds and trust that comes with those relationships are essential for the young athletes and the coaches as well. As I said, these relationships don't last forever. Not all the time, but hopefully at least for 3-4 years during the students' time on the team, when they really need these relationships, when they need someone to trust them or to show faith in them. Sometimes you're lucky enough and those relationships last much longer. 2 of my coaches are here today. One of those is someone I coached for 4 years, and coached them 4 years ago. Having her here at the induction and as a part of the current coaching staff means so much to me. I'm touched that both of these young women, both of these coaches, made the drive down here on a Sunday morning, no less. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to have many coaches come back, plus a fifth that couldn't make it here today because he's dealing with his own little ones at home. Having them around is what makes it great to me. Those return relationships that last so much longer. Being able to maybe, just maybe, touch someone's life for a short time is a wonderful part of coaching. Sharing a laugh, asking about their day, or making sure that they have a snack before practice begins is a simple act that can be one good part of their day. I'm a very competitive person. I do like to win, but a lot of times those victories that really matter aren't the ones on the court, and that's something I've learned through these years. I do want to close by just saying a special thank you to the most important relationship I've had during this time. This is to my beautiful wife and my 3 lovely daughters that have all made it down here today to support me. Unfortunately, I have missed some precious moments with them, but they've always supported me. I wouldn't be able to spend the time through the years coaching if my wife didn't pick up the slack created by my absence. So my wife gets the last thank you, and I say I love you.
That little bit of ribbing is what you always run the risk of when you ask an opposing coach to present you at a big event. I will let the record reflect that from 2017 to 2021, Longmeadow was winless against Minnechaug. So he's had a pretty good run. Our next inductee is Pam Thomas from Duxbury, being introduced by Lassey.
Thank you, George. As many of you know now, I've been up here in a lot of capacities. In this one, I'm very honored to be here as an assistant coach. As my job as an assistant, you do what you're told. What I was told is, take 9 minutes at the podium. and I will take yours. Done. So, you don't need the 1 minute sign. And Pam won't be up here for more than 2 minutes. First and foremost, as many have alluded to already, the most important team in the room is your family. That's a big part of any team, and that's where I'd like to start. Many members of Coach Pam's family are here today, including her mother, fabulous Gigi from Florida, her brother Scott from Western Pennsylvania, her husband Brian, videographer and fanboy extraordinaire for all these years, and her two sons, great sons, Ethan and Reese. All are here to proudly support their mom. And of course, her extended family, the girls who play volleyball at Duxbury, who are all here to support their head coach, the only coach in Duxbury history. The former AD, Tom Holgate, is graciously here. Members for the Boosters Club, John and Jen and Taya, who have been nothing but supportive, not only when their daughters played, but in other years. They're all here to support Coach Pam, and from the bottom of her heart, she thanks them for their support today and over the past 12 years. Now here's Pam's story. She grew up in Western Pennsylvania, about 20 miles from Pittsburgh, Steeler country, if you were watching Patriots today. And she grew up with a head coach by the name of Sharon Watson. Sharon Watson called my restaurant this summer. I thought she was ordering food, but she wanted to speak to Coach Pam. So I got Pam to the phone, and about 10 minutes later she came away from the phone with tears in her eyes. You see, the reason is Coach Watson is not just any coach. Matt's Preps determined in 2020 that she was the most successful female coach in the history of sports in the United States. In her 21 years at Norwin, where Pam went to high school, she had a record of 642 and 21. 97% winning percentage, including 12 state titles, 15 Western Pennsylvania titles, including 8 in one in a row, 9 in the other in a row. She coached over 65 Division I scholarship players. 65. The most famous is a girl named Lori Broderick, who went to Penn State and became a 3-time All-American, and after a few years married the head coach, Les Rose, and became Lori Rose. So Coach Watson had over 100 players that got scholarships over the years, and Pam was fortunate enough to be one of them. To be perfectly honest, Coach Watson was a Title IXer. She was a hard-ass, no-nonsense coach who started in the mid-70s and just wanted to give girls a chance to play in the level playing field with boys. To that end, she felt she had to outwork the boys. So frequently practices at Norwin went from 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning and 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Saturday practices were a must. One of her legendary stories is after beating an opponent on the road one Friday night, but playing ugly and poorly, Coach Watson asked the opposing coach, a friend, if she could borrow the gym for 90 minutes so they could practice. They practiced until 11 o'clock. So Pam not only learned about competing and winning from this legendary coach, but she also learned about discipline, hard work, sacrifice for the team, and playing for something bigger than yourself. In Pam's own words, she says of Coach Watson, she changed my life. As a scholarship player, Pam had opportunities to play at Ole Miss, Pittsburgh, or Wake Forest. She went to Wake Forest. There, 4 decades later, she is still in the record books as a top flight defender and server. And she graduated from Wake as a second team All-ACC player. After graduating from Wake Forest and attending chiropractic school, she spent the next 2 decades in private practice while raising 2 wonderful boys with her husband Brian, finally settling in Duxbury. In 2010, a group of parents approached her and said, how would you like to get back into volleyball as a coach? And that's how I got into Pam's life. The next day, she called me up at the recommendation of Dave Jacqui, the Hanover High coach, and I told her I would meet her the next day at a supermarket in Kingston. It was about halfway between Sacred Heart, where I coached, and Duxbury High School. Armed with instructional videotapes, books, and 22 years of experience, I offered my services as a mentor to Coach Pam. The rest, as they say, is history. 12 years at Duxbury, never a losing season. 9-time Patriot League champions, twice South Sectional winners, and twice state semifinalists. On September 28th of this current season, Pam recorded her 200th career victory in less than 250 games. That number is now up to 206, and they have averaged nearly 18.5 wins a year for her 11.5 seasons. The secret to Pam's success: commitment to excellence, hard work, tenacity, and the ability to make her players, better teammates, and better people. Sounds kind of like Coach Watson. No one works harder at a craft than Pam Thomas. Ironically, she never saw herself as a teacher or a coach, but she has become much more than that to her players. She's a consummate professional, a role model, an outstanding coach, and an amazing mentor to hundreds of young women in the Duxbury community. I am proud to be her assistant coach and friend, but even more proud of what she has accomplished in her 12 years at Duxbury. Coach Pam Thomas.
Hello. Everybody who knows me back there knows I have a giant fear of speaking in public, which is why I asked Coach Slavin to take most of my minutes. So I really won't be up here long. If I am, I'll be on the floor probably. I was told to imagine you all in your underwear. I'm in work grade. So we are going to go quick here. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. It is an honor and special privilege to be here today. Thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee, Selection Committee. I was truly thrilled when I got told that I was being inducted today, and I looked at the list of my fellow inductees, and I said, wow, what a great group of coaches. We all know each other, played mostly against each other, and have the highest regard for each other. It was truly a great class. I don't like to talk about myself, so I'm not going to. I will tell you that Rob has been truly instrumental in helping me get to be where I am. He jumped right in to be my mentor. He's been my friend, my confidant, psychologist, psychiatrist, designated driver, greatest listener. Anything that I had in my brain or a problem, I was able to always call. It was like the red phone. He would always pick it up, no matter what day it was, morning, noon, or night, late night, way late night. I, had a lot of questions, and starting the program at Duxbury, I thought it was just going to be fun and easy, and it was a lot of work. My AD, Tom Holgate, at the time, I don't know what he thought of me when I first went into his office, because Ron would do this, and he's like, okay, just you wait. So it was an undertaking of much bigger proportion than I ever anticipated. The reason why I coach, and Rob talked a lot about my coach, Sharon Watson, the most influential person in my life, another woman, and she is all those things. She was a really tough coach, but we all loved her. We loved all the tough practices. We didn't like each other all the time, but we loved her truly, and she enabled us to be better women, better teammates, great friends throughout our lives. I always tell my girls that you will always have your volleyball friends. They will always stick with you. I've run into Shelton Collier at the ABCA. I've run into other coaches that used to be my teammates. It's just, and it's like you never left. You just start talking and laughing and going through things, and it's truly special. Volleyball, the greatest team sport ever, is truly the best team sport ever. And my team is here, my varsity team, and just watching them warms my heart. I don't have any daughters, so this is like, I get a new set of daughters every year to love and also to discipline. It's not always rosy, it's not always rainbows and unicorns, but we do love each other and respect each other. Thank you to everybody here that has supported me. I'm going to thank somebody that you'll never, well, maybe not never, but it's odd to hear a coach thank my parents. I have John and Jen and Taya and Nancy and, oh my God, Jeff. I just lost your name better than Jeff. But I've had some parents, and then I've had some great parents. And they support me and the program, and they're a big part of, very special to have them here with me today. Also, I'd like to thank Mackenzie Bright, who has been part of the very first original volleyball in 2011. She came in as a ninth grader with never played volleyball before. Actually, none of the girls ever played volleyball at that time, and she's gone through the program. And Sam Chason, who also came shortly after that. Both of the girls are all-state players, were all-state players. They both played in college, and Sam is now one of my assistant coaches for a short period of time with her stint now, when she's back. But thank you so much for coming. My coaches are amazing. Over the 12 years that I've been doing this, I've had different coaches, and the group that I have right now is just amazing. Stacy Hampton's been with me for, at least half the time, 6+ years. Juliana Torres joined our group, and Rob has been great as an assistant coach, which he's so much more than that. We like to have spirited bantering on the sidelines sometimes, which he just looks at me and just shakes his head, okay, do whatever you want. My family is very supportive. They've always been the greatest joy in having them come to the games. My mom has got her camera out, filming every word, and so thanks, Mom. My brother Scott, my brother Rodney is not here, but he always lets me, brings me up to date on Pennsylvania and Western PA volleyball and what's going on. My husband, who has really been at every match. I think he missed 2 in 12 years. He had been doing videography because there was no more huddle, and when I took him program, I didn't want to get anything wrong. I was afraid of doing something wrong. So my stats, I used to go home and plug in the VCR thing or the video recorder and then stat it from every game that he used to come and tape. Geez, I hope I'm not forgetting anything. My mother-in-law's here. She comes to most of the games, which is just amazing. My sons, they start off as ball boys, and I think they were 8 and 10, trying to keep a track of them, you know, trying to raise a family, also coach. And so I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my God, where's my youngest son, Reese, who was 8? And then there's the huddle of girls, high school girls, and he's in the middle, having a great time. So I was just like, okay, I knew that things were going to go okay. I'm just very thankful and very touched to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, our next inductee is a boys coach from St. John's Prep. I actually had the opportunity to be a line judge at their 2008 state championship, so I'd like to think I have a little piece of this. But that'll be Andrew Viselli being introduced by Jacqui.
Before I came up, my colleague, friend Dick, told me he wasn't wearing underwear, so I hope he was not a part of it. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chad Remus, and I played St. John's Prep volleyball from 1998 to 2002, where in my senior year we won the state championship under Andrew Viselli, so not 2008, the better one in 2002. Just quickly before we get going to my formal introduction of Andrew, I'd like to take this opportunity to just say a big thank you to our hosts, and of course Cher, and a huge congratulations to everybody being honored here today. All right, where do we begin here, Coach? As I thought about today's introduction, I had a number of things that were racing around my head, but most importantly was, how could I possibly summarize a nearly 30-year coaching career and the personal impact that you've had on so many into a short introduction? How, Coach, would you be able to hear and truly feel our collective gratitude, appreciation, I can't even count, I'm gonna cry, genuine love and thanks for you? Mark Twain once said, I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one. I have found the older we get, the more we appreciate simplicity. So here is my short letter or introduction to you, Coach. As I called around other players seeking their input and inspiration for these comments, I heard unbelievable stories. They were great and different, various perspectives, but I was really able to boil those down into two perfectly clear similarities from all of my conversations. The first was that everybody's time playing with you are some of their best memories of their life. And the second is that they're some of the most vivid ones as well, where every little detail and every separate memory seems to have stuck with us as though we were in fact reliving the moment all over again. And I believe that both of those statements say something incredibly profound because they all circle around you. The truth is, Coach, the more time I spent thinking about this after our phone call and celebration, the simpler it actually all became for me. You are Coach. Just think about that. How many people in your life call you Coach? So what is the definition of a coach? A mentor, a teacher, an instructor? It has been said that a good coach makes players better and makes teams better. But I believe, and I'm sure most of us in this room would also agree, that a great coach makes you a better person in life. A great coach has an impact way beyond the court, the field, or the track. And that is what Coach Viselli has done, not just for me, but for so many others as well. That said, I would not be misled here. Those life lessons that he was looking to teach us were not at first or readily apparent to most of us. At first, the rigorous practices, the deadly sprints, the pulls, I still get shivers, the repeated exercises, they felt like simple, grueling coaching tactics. But in time, these workouts, the stretching, our conversations, the wins, the losses, they ultimately led somewhere deeper about team, teammates, and ultimately life. All of the lessons that Coach Viselli had been teaching through sport became alive and instilled in each of us in very different ways. He taught us what it meant to be part of a team, to rely on and support each other. He taught us the power of determination and hard work. It does pay off. He taught us the value of believing in yourself and the value of confidence, the importance of kindness at all times, humility in the ups, and of course learning from the downs, the failures. Coach, you don't just teach these characteristics, you live them, you wear them, you are them. Your work ethic, your commitment, your perseverance, and of course your passion for life, but certainly for the sport of volleyball and all those who play it shows each and every day. Viselli, you've carried an unconditional loyalty to the game and your players, and you've truly mastered the art of what it means to be a great coach. Albert Einstein once said, "You should make everything as simple as possible, but no simpler." Said simply, Andrew, to me and so many others, you are coach, and we are forever grateful. I love you. Congrats.
Thank you all. Thank you to the committee, all the coaches who are here. Honored to be amongst you. When I found out that I was being inducted, I reached right up to Chad and said, I have to have someone present. And he goes, dude, find someone else. And I said, well, it was either you or Johnny Boyle. And he goes, well, then both of us will do it. And thank you. So Johnny Boyle was my long-term assistant coach. He passed away right there 3 years ago. And he was the one who every coach walked into St. John's Prep Gym and they walked over him and shook his hand. Because he was shirt, tie, looked like a coach, and I was the guy in shorts and some braggy t-shirt and sandals. Johnny was a great coach and a great man, and he held me accountable as a coach to the standards that we had at St. John's Prep and what we wanted to hold our players to. And so he's here with us, so Jeff. To mirror Steve's comment, in 1994, Salem Evening News posted a little blurb that said St. John's Prep was looking for a coach. And so I called on my rotary phone every day for 2 weeks. And finally they said, yep, come on in for an interview. And like Steve, I was the only one who would apply. And so 18 years at St. John's Prep, not great memories, trials, tribulations, all of it. But I think what bonds all of us, and what is more important than the wins, the losses, the championships, the awards, is the time in the gym and the practice we get to spend with our kids, with each other, them teaching us teaching them. Who's the teacher, who's the student, it doesn't matter. It gets blurred, the lines are blurred. And it's those things that we remember in this reflection piece that we've all been able to share since finding out about this, is looking back on our careers, whenever they started, however we came to them. And what's come back to me most is those times in the gym, in the practices, after the losses. Championship, sure, they came in and they left quickly, but it was the losses of the 4-hour match against New Bedford in 1999 that really stick in there, and that's what drives in being a coach. Not the wins and wanting more of that, but wanting to make the changes for the losses. How did I not succeed? How did I let him down? And that's where I am today in my life, looking in that mirror and saying, how can I be better? Who am I teaching? How am I teaching my kids, my students? How was I teaching the kids in the volleyball court in the classroom? And ultimately, I came to this on the drive up this morning, because as you can tell, I have no notes. Literally, as a coach, as a teacher, I do both the same way, and that's who I needed when I was there. I was the student, and I was the worst player ever. And not volleyball, other sports, just never listening off, doing whatever. whatever, and then expecting to play. And then didn't understand why I didn't play, never paying attention in the classroom, because I always got passing grades. And so as a teacher, as a coach, what I want to impart on kids is to simply say, you're better than what you're presenting right now. And you can be better. And I see you in 10, 15 years as that forward person achieving everything that you're supposed to achieve. And that's why I push my kids in the classroom, my kids on the court. That's why I demand excellence in the court. And it's for no other reason. It's never for state championship. It's never for a win-loss. It's always to become the best human being that you can be. And I'm grateful for every one of those kids. I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I'm thankful to be part of this community of coaches, human beings who want to inspire and raise independent young adults to become the next wave of generational leaders. So thank you very much.
Before George announces our last inductee, just a quick side note. For all inductees, present and past, we know you're going to want to mingle a little bit, but we are asking that immediately after our last inductee that everybody meet behind me outside where it's gorgeous. We're going to have a new inductee photo and then a photo with all inductees. And one more side note really quickly. Inductees, please feel free to take the flowers and the frames off the table and home. But again, as soon as we are done, if everyone could just make their way behind me and then mingle afterwards so that we can let our fabulous photographer boy head home and enjoy the Patriots game. Thank you.
All right, our final inductee today is the boys and girls coach at Westfield High School. That is Tyler Wingate, being introduced by Matt Crittenden.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try and make it quick. Hats kick off at 1, I get it. Congratulations to all of the inductees. It is a truly remarkable group. What you do for the sport of volleyball in this state, it has a ripple effect. It goes to all levels. I personally am a college coach. Rachel, one of your players played for me. And it's truly great to meet all of you and hear your stories. So many of you are amazing people who put above the competition, the growth and development of people. That's not Tyler, it's all about competition. All right, I'm just kidding. He really does an awesome job with developing young men, young women. But the competition for Tyler is really something else. I've seen Tyler get mad at a dog for getting in the way during yard games at a barbecue. He needs to win all the time. And I jokingly call the competition in competitive Tyler, but it's passion. And Tyler has a passion for the sport of volleyball that is second only to the love of his beautiful family. Hi, Steph. Hi, Owen. The beautiful young boy they just welcomed less than a year ago. Tyler's passion and love for volleyball has created an amazing program at Westfield. It has helped me with my program at American International. In 2012, I was hired there, came up from South Carolina, and the athletic director said to me, we got this young guy who, he's still a student at Springfield College, don't tell the team, but he does a good job, so if you didn't have anybody in mind for an assistant coach, it made me think about keeping him on. Tyler, 10 years ago, that was the best decision I ever made, because not only have you helped us become a great program, I met my best friend, and I'm just truly honored to be here to help introduce you, this privilege, this honor, into this Hall of Fame. So, Tyler, congratulations.
gave one of the best man speeches at our wedding, so I really thought that, he'd follow that up with another great performance. And there might have been a couple of jabs in that one, so I appreciate it very much, Matt, and all you've done for me and our family as well. So I've been thinking about what to say, as this day has been approaching, and the days and weeks, and it kept coming to moments throughout my coaching career. Some of the wins, definitely some of the losses, the players, the coaches I've worked with, the places I've been to, and I just kept coming back to one thing: stick to the plan. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to you all very similar of how I would talk to teams that I've coached, and break things down into a 3-step process. It could be 3 goals before a match, 3 areas we have to do well today. We talk about things in 3s. And it just so happens 3 is a pretty significant number in the sport of volleyball. So without further ado, let's begin with step 1. Step 1 is thankful. There are so many people to thank, really impossible to thank everyone who has helped shape my career and make me better. To all the players over the years, you are the reason that we all do this. So never lose that passion for our great sport of volleyball. To all the coaching staffs that I've been a part of and have had work with me over the years, just so thankful for all of you. Some of you are here today, which I, so much appreciate. And again, thankful for everything you've given to make each experience a special one. And really, you're only as good as the people you work alongside, and you have made me a better person, better teacher, better coach. And, Matt was just up here, but 2 people in particular I want to highlight. Matt, as he mentioned, head coach at American International, and the other would be Charlie Sullivan, head men's coach at Springfield College. Just those names are synonymous with outstanding volleyball. And I'm just very thankful to have worked alongside Charlie for 6 years and continued this day to work alongside Matt. I want to thank Charlie for believing in me, giving me a chance as a freshman, and just being an unbelievable mentor. And again, thank you to Matt for pushing me to be a better coach. And I just want to say how thankful I am that our paths crossed 10 years ago, and how much respect I have for you and the outstanding person, teacher, and coach that you are. Step 2, grateful. Just grateful that I took the chance on volleyball. Just simply amazing how things happen. Grateful for the journey and the process. So much goes into each decision, each day, each season. Just grateful for all the people who have pushed me to be better. Grateful again for all the players, because players are the ones who win the matches and make you look good. Grateful for all the lifelong friendships, and just for the community of volleyball and the sport. It's the ultimate team sport. And just grateful that I have the opportunity to share my passion with young people and share my experiences. And step 3 is family. I wouldn't be here without my family. My mom is here, and she always has been since my playing days. She's at every match, and I just want to say how much that still means to me, and that I love you. To my 2 brothers, thank you for being role models and the people that you are. To my families at Westfield High School, American International College, Springfield College, and Pioneer Valley Juniors. Just what amazing places to have grown up and continue to be such a big part of my life. All these places put their trust in me, and I'm just forever indebted for everything you've done for me. And lastly, to my wife Stephanie and son Owen, as you heard earlier, my life forever changed just about 10 months ago. Our son being born is better than any win. And to my wife, Stephanie, you mean everything to me. I'm better because of you. You inspire me with how amazing of a mother that you are. And this award is just as much about you, because you've always have and always will be by my side. So thank you. Thank you to the MAVCA for this amazing day and honor. I'm truly humbled, and just want to say congratulations to all the inductees once again, all past inductees, and thank you for everything. I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
I think the common theme that we heard today is that, yeah, we coach volleyball, but more importantly, we coach people. And I think it was really great to sit back and think about that, just the impact that everybody has. So I truly loved hearing everybody's story and what got them here today and what they plan on doing with that in the future. So I want to say congratulations to all our inductees this afternoon. This has been an incredibly special event, and I'm thankful to have been able to share it with all of you. A reminder to the inductees, when we go to take that photo behind me on the veranda, please bring your plaques. We'll be nice and quick, and then you guys can get right back in here and say hello. But with that, we're going to call the event to a close. Congratulations to each and every single one of you. Thank you for sharing all your special memories and your families with us. Thank you.